Welcome back to Infinite Wealth and Mindset. Today we unveil Chapter 9 of Florence Scovel Shinn's exact manuscript, The Magic Path of Intuition, titled Infinite Intelligence, the Great Magician. Throughout our lives, society has programmed us to believe that every financial solution must be logical, calculated, and the product of extreme sweat. But Florence breaks this paradigm with a spectacular revelation. The divine mind is not a boring accountant, it is a great magician. When you face overwhelming debt or a dead end, your intellect panics because it cannot see a way out. Today, you will learn to sit in the front row of the theater of life and watch how the great magician pulls the perfect solution out of an empty hat, defying all laws of human logic. Let's begin. Florence uses the figure of the great magician for a very specific reason. Think about the last time you saw an extraordinary magic trick. The magician shows a completely empty hat and a second later pulls a live rabbit out of it. You do not scream demanding to know how he did it, nor do you stress out trying to understand the exact backstage mechanics. You simply relax, watch in amazement, and enjoy the miracle. That is exactly the attitude Florence demands we have towards our financial problems. When you look at your bank account and it seems like an empty hat, your three-dimensional intellect tells you that you are ruined. But infinite intelligence, the great magician of the universe, is not bound by earthly mathematics. It knows pathways, channels, and resources that you cannot even imagine. Your job is not to figure out how the money will arrive. Your only job is to maintain the expectation of wonder and know that the great magician is already performing his trick. Wisdom pause. What Florence called magic in 1920, modern physics calls quantum leaps. A quantum leap occurs when an electron disappears from a low-energy orbit and instantly reappears in a higher orbit, without having traveled through the space in between. That is to say, a miracle happens without a logical, visible process. In the quantum field, infinite intelligence reorganizes matter and circumstances at the speed of light. When you blindly trust the great magician, you are allowing the universe to collapse the probabilities in your favor, giving you a financial quantum leap that defies all the logic of your past. Let's continue. For the great magician to perform, Florence warns us that there is an unbreakable rule in this cosmic theater. You cannot interfere with the trick. If the magician is about to pull out the rabbit and you jump on stage to inspect the hat because you are afraid he might fail, you completely ruin the illusion. That interference is exactly what you do when you try to force a solution. You call the wrong people out of desperation, you accept abusive deals out of the fear of poverty, and you spend your time imagining the worst-case scenarios. Florence taught that infinite intelligence needs an environment of undisturbed faith to operate. If you are terrified about an approaching payment date, you must affirm with authority, "I leave this in the hands of the great magician." By doing this, you step off the stage and hand control over to absolute power. The universe loves speed and adores the unexpected. Often, when everything seems darkest and logic tells you that you are about to lose it all, that is exactly when the curtain rises and divine supply appears in the most magical and unpredictable way. You are not a victim of your economy. You are the great magician's assistant, and Florence reveals that you possess an extremely powerful magic wand, your spoken word. Every time you speak, you are casting a spell. If you say, "This is impossible, I will never get out of this debt," you are using your wand to paralyze the universe. Florence insisted that we must use our words exclusively to decree miracles. She recommended using the affirmation, "I expect the unexpected, my glorious good now comes to pass." When you speak these words with total conviction, you give the great magician permission to use extraordinary channels, a forgotten check arriving in the mail, a stranger offering you the deal of a lifetime, or a sudden idea that generates thousands of dollars. The miracle is already prepared. It is just waiting for the touch of your magic wand. Before concluding, there is one last secret about the great magician that Florence highlights in this chapter. To the infinite spirit, time and distance do not exist. They are illusions of our rational mind. We believe that escaping poverty must take years of sacrifice because we measure the world in 3D. But the great magician operates in the fourth dimension. On that plane of intuition, your wealth is already an accomplished fact. Florence recounts how massive fortunes and definitive solutions have manifested overnight for those who manage to set aside their fear. Do not put a clock on your dreams. When you stop anxiously looking at the calendar and simply marvel at the power of the universe, you drastically accelerate your manifestation. The miracle doesn't take time, it only takes your total alignment. Always remember this golden rule. Your logical human mind barely knows how to add and subtract, but the great magician of the universe always multiplies. To truly master this principle, Florence teaches us that we must completely ignore adverse appearances. When the great magician is preparing your financial miracle, things might temporarily look worse before they get better. You might receive an unexpected bill, or a promised deal might suddenly fall through. Your logical mind will immediately panic and scream, "The magic is not working, the trick has failed." But Florence warns us that this is merely a shifting of the scenery on the stage. The infinite spirit often dismantles old, limiting structures to make room for your massive blessing. If you judge by appearances and react with fear, you are essentially telling the magician to stop the show. Instead, you must stand firm and declare, "None of these things move me." You must realize that every apparent setback is actually a setup for a much greater revelation. The great magician requires your absolute composure. When you can look at a seemingly disastrous financial situation and smile, knowing that infinite intelligence is simply shuffling the cosmic deck to deal you a winning hand, you reach the highest level of mastery. You stop reacting to the illusions of the three-dimensional world, and you anchor yourself in the absolute certainty of the fourth dimension, where your victory is already sealed. Your financial problems are not as big as you think. They only seem like giants because you are looking at them through the lens of fear. Today, step off the stage of worry and sit back to watch the magic of infinite intelligence. The universe knows exactly how to get you out of there. It only needs you to give it permission to surprise you. Seal this divine connection into your subconscious mind by writing this exact decree in the comments. I trust the great magician and I expect my financial miracle now.
If this lesson has restored your hope and fascination for the power of the universe, support this video with a massive thumbs up. Subscribe to Infinite Wealth and Mindset and turn on the notification bell. Right here on your end screen, the grand finale of this series awaits you. Lesson 10. All that the fourth dimension affords is yours, where we will learn to live permanently in the plane of continuous miracles. Click on the video and I will see you there to crown your mind with absolute wealth.